Move that the question be now put.
No. I'm going to call the honourable member Claire Curran.
Mr Chair, and I'd just like to say that that was very relevant to the discussion generally around copyright and the problematic nature of infringement and alleged infringement. With regards to the seriousness of the counterfeiting and the copyright infringements that happen with large-scale copyright and counterfeiting breaches and breaches of trademarks, which my colleague Pete Hodgson's referred to, though, I want to return to that. And I want to return to what was considered to be the, with reference to Part 2 of this bill, Mr Chair, what was considered to be the public policy objective of this bill, which was about reducing that trade in New Zealand of those serious counterfeiting issue and deterring people becoming involved in that trade through the increased prosecution of the criminal offences which are provided under the Trademarks Act and the Copyright Act by a government agency. And that's what this bill is providing for, is more provision for enforcement. I think the Ministry talked about the infrequent and ad hoc prosecutions by government agencies of those criminal offences, which was contributing to the growth of counterfeits being offered for sale in New Zealand, and greater volumes of counterfeits that were being offered for sale. Could lead to reduced profits by the trademark owners and the copyrights holders, and of course they're otherwise known as the rights holders. And what this bill is about is actually being on the side of the rights holders and trying to ensure that there can be an updated and harmonised piece of legislation that's taken several years to come back before the House and get passed, but which can actually provide more protection and entrenchment in society of the so that there isn't an acceptance of counterfeits, and that people can get away with doing that and make a lot of money out of it while ignoring the law. And also there are health risks which have been alluded to, and the wider impacts on the economy as a whole. So all those things are very important. I think across the House we all agree on those fundamental principles. But unfortunately we've taken nearly 3 years, or whatever it is, 3 years to get back to the House and get this piece of legislation passed. There's been virtually no debate around the importance of the scope of the issue, and yet there's been an enormous amount of discussion and a piece of legislation passed in the House around I guess putting a penalty on people who are doing it for their own benefit, because they can't get access to the material elsewhere. And I think one of the things that's most important about this bill is that it's about the importance of brands, and I think all my colleagues have alluded virtually to that. And I'd just like to, in the spirit of the importance of brands, just make reference to some breaking news actually, which is quite sort of relevant, and I hope that the Chair and the House would consider it to be relevant. But there's been a lot of discussion in New Zealand in the last few weeks about brands, particularly around rugby jerseys and controversies around them. And I'd just like to say that the Highlanders have made a decision tonight, the Highlanders, to keep the original colours of their brand in the home games. And I think that Mr Chair might be, and if the other Mr Chair was in the chair, he might be interested in that piece of news as well, and a few other people in the House, that they may keep that new green strip for the away games, but the original colours will be kept in Otago and Southland for the home games. And that is a piece of good news, Mr Chair, around, and thank you for your indulgence in allowing me to announce that. And I do wish that I had the aforesaid Highlanders jersey here tonight. which I certainly would not be wearing in the House, Mr Chair, but as a significant symbol of the importance of a brand and what it means, Mr Chair.
Claps, Chair.